Peace, peace. Just making sure the sound is all right. Peace, peace. Just making sure the sound is all right. Okay, that sounds perfect. Peace, peace. Just making sure the sound is all right. Okay, that sounds perfect. And we back. Yes, sir. We back. Peace, family. This is the Satrilrose coming at you guys with another exclusive video. Man, I'm gonna be hitting y'all with a bunch of them, man. So be prepared to get tired of me, man. For real. You did what I'm saying. I had to come back. Had to come back with a part two. Had to come back with a part two, man. Cause it was so much that was left unsaid when it came to this film. And I know there are a lot of individuals who have not seen the movie yet, but I will do my best not to spoil too much of the movie. But I would advise you to go ahead and go and see the movie before you actually listen to this video or you watch this video. Because I really do feel as though that this movie is very impactful. You know what I'm saying? It's very impactful, and I understand that, you know, I understand that we like to be entertained, but at the same time, I feel as though that man, this movie is definitely something to pay attention to, in a sense to where, you know, you can actually receive a divine message from it, you know. But yeah, we're definitely gonna get into that, man. You know, as always, man, you guys can find me at the Satrilrose on Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Again, the Satrilrose. You know, of course, if you guys are interested in receiving any of my spiritual services, please feel free to DM me, and my website will be in the description of this video. You know, I would never DM you first. So, you know, I do want to get that understood, because I understand that a lot of people are, you know what I'm saying, there are a lot of individuals who actually, you know, in a space to where, you know, they like to, you know, solicit that type of service. So I will never DM you first. Please understand that. And, you know, we can just go from there. Like I said, you know, you can just DM me and we can get your consultation started. You know, I do offer a plethora of spiritual services, as you know, as far as coaching, spiritual workings, divination, things of that nature. Yeah, you know, I'm definitely working right now, and I will be coming out with a few products as well, very soon. I will be coming out. I'm actually working on some things right now that I'm putting into work. So yeah, just like I said, man, just be on the lookout. Just be on the lookout, man, because I'm definitely putting some things together right now, man. Definitely putting some things together. Like I said, you guys can check out my website and see everything that's going, you know what I'm saying, see everything that's going on there, you know. Yeah, but man, without further ado, man, we definitely about to get into this breakdown, man. And the main message that I kept hearing was the fact that, you know, what I'm seeing is there are a lot of people who have not gotten the message. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel as though that there are a lot of individuals. So you have to ask yourself, when you watch this movie, what is the main message of this movie? What is the main message of this film? You did what I'm saying? Like, what's the main message of this film? And did you truly understand, comprehend, and receive the message necessary? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, we can sit up here and we can talk about, you know, we can talk about so much. We can talk about it from such a vast point of view and a vast perspective. But what is the main message of this film, man? And of course, these are just my opinions. This is just me, you know what I'm saying, expressing how I feel when it comes to a movie like this. You know, when it comes to such an impactful movie, you know, because, man, the thing about it, man, how can I put it? Not without sounding like without sounding like a cliche, but at the same time, I mean, truth be told, man, this could have been any movie that I, you know what I'm saying, that we talk about. This could have been any movie. This could have been any movie. You know what I'm saying? And these are, like, you know, well, I mean, how many times have we seen Michael B. Jordan? How many times have we seen these people? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, it's about the way that this movie was, how can I put it? this movie was produced, how this movie was directed, how this movie was, how the script was written. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like how everything was so layered and put together in a way that you can't help but to see and see and find the divinity in it. You get what I'm saying? You can't help but to see the divinity in it. You dig what I'm saying? And it's so, man, like I said, man, it's such a vast film, and it's such a vast, you know, each character, you know, has such a profound story. Each character has such a profound story. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel as though that if he was to turn this into a series, you know, because I mean, you know, everybody's privy to series, or you know what I'm saying, like everybody's on that wave of, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to a series or whatever the case may be, right? So if he was to turn this into a series and actually broke down each character, it'll be just as successful, because each character, from the twins, from Sammy to Annie, like all of these characters have such profound stories, you know. And it's the small details, if you just really intricate details that you pay attention to, you know, like how Smoke talked about, well, Stack talked about how Smoke, you know, unalived their father, you know, for being abusive or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? For being abusive in a sense. Knocked him, he talked about it, man. He knocked him unconscious. And when he came to, you know, like just that story alone. Just that story alone. What kind of man was he? What kind of father was he to do something like that? You get what I'm saying? And if they really would have honed in on that fact, if they really would have honed in on, man, it would have been a profound series, man. I'm telling you, it definitely would be a profound series. And I don't know, who knows, like, man, I just don't think, you know, this is gonna be the last that and I feel as though this is why this movie is so important, because, you know, I feel as though that he actually may come out with something else after the fact, you know, relating to this movie, you know. But who knows, man? Like I said, you know, it may just be one of those films to where it's a classic movie. It's just a classic. You know what I'm saying? It may just be that. And I'm perfectly fine with that because of how amazing the movie is, man. I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, perfectly fine with that. And I also want to speak about the fact that, man, I've been realizing that people, I mean, of course, people have their mixed views about the movie and about the film or whatever the case may be. People have their own opinions and people have their own theories or whatever the case may be. But I have noticed that there are a lot of there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to this film, when it comes to this movie. There's a lot of ignorance. And when I say ignorance, in a sense that ignorance, the definition of ignorance is just not to have the knowledge of, or to not know. So you can't blame anybody for what they don't know. You can't blame anybody for what they don't know. But at the same time is, you know, it's like this. If we all have access to all of the resources that we have access to, it's nothing to educate yourself. It's nothing to, you know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what religion you practice, no matter what spiritual, whatever the case may be, it's nothing to educate yourself. You know, and I feel as though that, you know, yeah, for sure, it's a horror film. It's a horror film, but it's like all of the things that you would think that people would demonize, they're not demonizing it. They're demonizing everything else but that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the interesting part of this the whole hype about this movie. And the hype is warranted. The hype is warranted. You know, the hype is definitely it definitely lives up to that hype. You know what I'm saying? It definitely lives up to that hype. And I feel as though that it's gonna be a classic, just like Blade was, or Queen of the Dam. Although Queen of the Dam, me personally, I feel as though that movie could have been a hell of a lot better. Um, but Aaliyah, you know, she added that spark that it needed. You know what I'm saying? She added that spark that it needed. So I do feel as though this movie is gonna be up there with Blade and, you know, Queen of the Damned and, you know, things of that nature. It's definitely gonna be up there. And then it has like a musical vibe to it as well. And that music, the music in this film is so profound. It's not just you know, a timepiece slash musical or whatever the case may be. That music actually has a very significant it plays a very significant role in understanding and putting together the pieces. Like with blues music in general, right? Blues music in general. Where did blues come from? And I'm glad he put that aspect of the you know what I'm saying, of blues music in that film, because there are so many of us who don't understand what blues music is. And it's such a magical and it's such a powerful, energetic type of music that came from sharecroppers, that came from our ancestors. And again, I say, man, it's the foundation of a lot of the music that we have now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those blues musicians like Muddy Waters coming from the South, moving to Chicago. You know what I'm talking about? Like coming from the South, moving up to Chicago, and essentially getting fucked over by a lot of these, you know what I'm saying, by the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Essentially getting fucked over. You know? And they were sold dreams, and at the end of it, they were left with nothing. They died with nothing. Essentially, they died with nothing. You know, so like I said, man, blues music is such a powerful, because you can listen to blues in the sense of, you know, how can I put it, man? Because it's such a powerful type of, it's such a powerful energy that comes from that music, man. It's storytelling. It's storytelling. Essentially, that's what it is. It's storytelling. You know what I'm saying? From the most traumatic events to the most memorable events in these people's lives. You dig what I'm saying? Like, so blues music coming from, you know, black southern, you know what I'm saying, storytellers. That was dope that he was able to put that in that movie, man. It was dope that he was able to put that in that movie. So that plays a huge role. That plays a huge role in understanding how layered this movie is. It plays a huge role in understanding how layered and how profound that simple, you know what I'm saying, like how profound and how, you know what I'm saying, that simple move was, just being able to put that in the movie, man. You know, so like I said, man, the main question that I feel as though that a lot of us should be asking ourselves, right? What was the main message of the film? And did I receive and comprehend that message? Did I receive and comprehend that message, right? Because me personally, this is how I looked at it, right? So like I said, you have you have the twins, who to me represent Eshu Elegua, right? Stack especially. Stack to me represents Eshu Elegua. You know, Stack to me represents Eshua Legua, because you like I said, man, you look at him and how, shit, if I'm not mistaken, in the movie, I believe they spoke about how, shit, he did 7 years. He did 7 years in prison, I believe. You know, correct me if I'm wrong on that, you know, but I believe they talked about how he did 7 years. And the point I'm making is, right, he treads that line of light and darkness, and he does it so well. He does it so well. He treads that line of light and darkness, leaning more to the darker side. You know what I'm saying? And he truly don't give a fuck, for real. And that's what I love about his character, because he truly don't give a fuck as long as he gets shit done. He doesn't care. He doesn't necessarily care about the consequences. He doesn't necessarily care about, you know what I'm saying? Shit, in the movie, when a little white dude, you know, the white guy challenged him a little bit, you know, and he noticed that. He knew that deal was fucked. He knew that deal was fucked up. He knew that those guys were lying about that, about the clan not existing. He knew it. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he got out of pocket with him and his brother was on him. You dig what I'm saying? So he don't really give a fuck about the consequences. He don't really give a fuck about the you know what I'm saying? You know, it's all about respect. It's all about power with him. So he represents that. He represents that energy of Eshua Legua. And he does it in such a finessing type of way. Like bro had a certain type of finesse about him. And that's why I say I gotta tip my, because I've never seen Michael B. Jordan in this type of, in playing this type of role. And I can see you know, just to kind of a sidebar, I can see the influence. I can see the influence of Chadwick in that aspect of him too. I can see the influence of Chadwick in that in this particular role of, because you see him as we've seen him as a serious type of cat in these movies. We've seen him as a serious type of cat in these movies. You dig what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like this, right? So for him to be able to play a role like that, in the way this movie was directed, I know that he had to step out of his comfort zone and channel a different type of energy. And we know how powerful Chadwick Boseman's, and you know how powerful his energy was. So he had to conjure that energy up and channel that energy, and he did it. He executed. I mean, he really did. You can't really be mad at him. So like I said, man, I feel as though that stack represents that aspect of Eshua Legua, and understanding who that is. Understanding who that is. It's almost like a Legba type of energy. So it's no coincidence that it was him and not Smoke that got turned. Just understand that alone. Understand why it was him. It was Stack who was turned and not Smoke. And then at the end of the movie, you have, I wasn't able to see it as I was watching it, but I do remember seeing the clips online, right? The internet got a way of spoiling movies, man. That's why I'm trying my best not to spoil a movie for a lot of y'all, for those who will be watching the playback or whatever the case may be of this video. But I was able to see that, man. Him and old girl, the girl who could pass for white. I can't remember her character's name. And that within itself, it represents that duality as well. That whole, white and black duality, right? But again, like I said, man, it was Stack. It was Stack who was granted you know, essentially who was granted that gift and curse, I guess you could say, right? So yeah, man, I definitely feel as though that when you look at it from that perspective, when you look at it from that perspective, and you know who Eshua Legwa is, and you know what how powerful of an Orisha he is. No matter what aspect you look at him from, whether it be from the aspect of Santeria, Lukumi, whatever the case may be, right? No matter what aspect you look at him from, you understand how powerful he is. You understand and you know how powerful of an energy he has. And what he represents. And I feel as though that's why he gets such a bad rep. And he wasn't as likable or as looked at in such a regal royal type of energy the way Shango or Orunmila or Ogun was. And that's crazy. I just heard so we got these trains over here right where I stay at. We got these trains over here, man. And the train just blew his horn a little bit. So that's crazy. That's crazy how that just happened after I said Ogun. That's crazy how I just said, as soon as I said Ogun, that happened, right? But like I said, man, when you look at it from that perspective and you look at it from that, and I pray that me even talking about this, me even speaking about this, it puts us in a space of study. It puts us in a space of study because I really want to know. I really want to go back and listen and, and find more pataki and hear or read about more pataki of Eshua Legwa to understand him deeper. To understand him deeper and to understand him on a more vast frequency. And then you have Sammy, you have that little cousin, right? You have that little cousin, Sammy. He represents Eshu as well, right? And I really want to be careful about how I execute this. He represents the more innocent version of Eshu. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said in the last breakdown, and this is why I wanted to get on here and actually dive deeper into this. He represents a more innocent version of Eshu. As they used to say, like he's still wet behind the ears. He was still wet behind the ears. So he represents that Eshu, that version of Eshu who can go even further. And that is exactly what he did. Again, think about it. Why was it that at the end of the movie, the main two that met up was Stack and Sammy, played by none other, and this is something else. This is another sidebar. This is another sidebar. I'm gonna need y'all to put some respect on Buddy Guy. I'm gonna need y'all to put some respect on Buddy Guy's name. That man is a legend. He's a legendary blues player. This is somebody who Jimi Hendrix studied. Jimi Hendrix studied Buddy Guy. That's who that older guy, that old gentleman that was in that movie at the end of the film. That was none other than Buddy Guy. Put some respect on that man's name and do your research, man. That man is a legend. Legendary blues player. Legendary blues player. But yeah, he played as the older version of Sammy. So you have these two aspects, right? You have these two aspects of Eshu. These two aspects of Eshu. And this entire movie is playing with that concept of light and dark, good and evil. It's playing with that whole aspect of, or that whole ideology of light and dark. What we consider evil, what we consider good. You know what I'm saying? Most baby Eshus come from the church, or they come from a family who you dig what I'm saying? Who are heavily influenced by Christianity. And somehow they always break free of that doctrine. They always break free of that. And they always go their own way. They always find a way to go their own way. They always find a way to go their own way. So when you understand that concept, right? This is, like I said, man, this is just my opinion. I feel as though that this entire movie was a ritual. This is not me speaking on like some woo shit either. This is like not no conspiracy shit either. Like this is genuinely something that I you know what I'm saying? I feel as though that this movie represents. This movie was an initiation of a sort. This movie was an initiation of the sort, man. Think about it. When you give trust in your ancestors, when you give trust in your spirit team, when you give trust and you actually surrender to that, and you allow them to walk alongside of you in that fight, when you're sitting there fighting your demons. You dig what I'm saying? It's a reason why in Ifa they make you go a year when you're doing that initiation. They make you go an entire year wearing white. You do your year white. There's a reason for that. You did what I'm saying? Like there's a reason, there's a divine reason for that. This movie was about purification, man. This movie was about purification. Keeping your innocence and remaining pure. And not allowing corruption in. Because think about it. there aren't many films that speak about vampires having to be invited in. Some people actually think that that's like kind of corny to a certain degree because it's so cliche. Some people actually think that that's kind of corny, and I'm not saying that that's what they're saying about this particular movie, but at the same time, it's like some people really do feel as though that concept of, you know, vampires having to be invited in, because it's such a cliche, right? But I feel as though that this in this movie, it had to be spoken, it had to be touched on, because again, like I said, if you remain pure and if you remain pure of heart and you remain innocent and you don't allow that negative energy or that those negative entities in, you can remain pure. Your soul can remain pure. You dig what I'm saying? Like your soul can remain pure. And again, I hate to sound like, you know what I'm saying, this is like on some conspiracy type of, you know what I'm saying, type of time, but it's really not. This movie speaks about the 7 deadly sins. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it speaks about the 7 deadly sins. It speaks about the 7 deadly sins. Greed, lust, gluttony, sloth, wrath, envy, pride. That energy can be transmuted. Brother C. Freeman L., he spoke about lust at one point, right? There's a lecture where he spoke about lust, right? Sometimes a little bit of lust is actually needed. Sometimes that's actually needed. And not in a sense, excuse me, and not in a sense that we know it of, right? How else are you going to be successful? How else are you going to be financially stable or financially free? We lust for money every day. We all got bills to pay. We all got mouths to feed, whether it be our own or a kid or whoever. We all got to have clothes on our back. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this is something that we don't talk about. Pride. Why is pride seen as something negative? And this is something that I can speak on profoundly, being a representative of Shango, right? Being a representative of Shango, because Shango was known for his pride. And I can easily see where it got him in trouble. I can easily see where it got him in trouble. I can see where his pride got him in trouble. But when he understood who he was as a king first, when he understood who he was as a king, he understood that his pride was something to be utilized. He understood that his pride was something to be, it was a tool. And not to be abused. Before Shango even became king, he moved as a king did. You know, he carried himself in a regal manner before he even excuse me, before he even received his crowning, before they even crowned him as king. All of these energies can be transmuted. All you have to do is change your perspective of it. All of this shit can be transmuted. Anger. And when we're speaking about transmutation, right? I want to speak about that for a second, because I really want to grasp the concept of what I'm saying, right? We're talking about alchemy. We're talking about alchemy. We're talking about turning silver to gold, or whatever the case may be, right? We're talking about alchemy. And this is mental, emotional, and spiritual alchemy. The Bible talked about it. How do you think that Jesus was able to turn water into wine? That's symbolic. So this is mental and emotional alchemy that we're talking about. There was a part in the movie, right? There was a part in the movie where there was a guy, older gentleman. He wanted a drink, but he didn't really have much money on him. I believe he had like he had just enough and some other coins, right? He had just enough and some other coins that he needed. Well, excuse me, that he earned. This man had been outside all day. He had been outside all day picking cotton. He had been outside all day picking cotton, right? And smoke, he peeped that. You know what I'm saying? He peeped that. He didn't like it. So he pulled Stack and he pulled Annie to the back. He said, "Hey man, this ain't no charity case. Like man, this is a business." And they broke it down to him like, "Hey, this is open at night. This is open at night. These people are coming in after a whole week of work in a scorching Mississippi heat. You dig what I'm saying? So for them to let that slide, it really spoke to that energy of greed. And how if you can put that to the side, if you can subside that for just a second, you'll be successful. So like I said, man, it's all about looking at things from a different perspective and transmuting that energy. Anger, like I said, anger can be alchemized. Anger can be transmuted. Anger can be transmuted. And you even see that in the film. You even see that in the film. You even see that in the movie. And this is how you stay pure. This is how your soul and your energy in your ashe remains pure. Learning to transmute what we see as sins, or what we see as evil, what we see as, you get what I'm saying? Learning to transmute that energy. That's how you remain pure. And shit, even in my personal life, this is something that I'm learning right now, especially when it comes to anger, especially when it comes to pride. Especially when it comes to that energy. So yeah, man, I definitely wanted to touch on that for a second, right? And I pray that my message is getting across in a way that I want it to. I pray that I'm executing this, and I pray that this message is getting to the audience that it needs to get to. I've been meditating on this literally all day. Literally been meditating on this all day, man. So when you look at Sammy, when you watch that movie, whether you watch it for the first time, whether you watch it for a second time or a third time, when you look at Sammy, know that you're looking at Eshu. Know that you're looking at purity. Even after, like I said in the last video, even after he committed a so-called sin. Even after going back to the church. After that whole situation, right? After everything went down, he still ended up going back home. Still ended up going back home. And he ended up going his own way. He remained true to himself and ended up going his own way. So I really want y'all to think about that when you're watching this movie, man. I really want you to think about that aspect of, you know, what his character represents. Because like I said, and that's always, and if you look at the Pataki, if you look at any Pataki of Eshu, right? He's always being tempted. He's always being approached by equal. In E5, equal represents death. He's always being presented, he's always being tempted by that energy. And he always overcomes that. He always overcomes that, man. So like I said, man, I really pray that if you know, when you're looking at it from this perspective, when you're looking at it from this point of view, I pray that this puts a lot of us in a space of study. I pray that this puts us in a lot of us in a space of learning more of our ancestors and learning more of our magic and learning more of where we come from. So something else that I wanted to kind of touch on, right? We're always looking for a savior. All of us. And when I say all of us, I mean Black people. We're always looking for a savior. Whether it be Jesus, whether it be the President of the United States. And yes, I'm talking about the president. Because for whatever reason, we put a lot of faith in politics, right? Whether it be the music industry, the sports leagues, we're always, even a job, we're always looking for a savior. And if this movie didn't show us one thing, it showed us this: nobody's coming to save you but you. Nobody's coming to save you but you. All we have is us. If you look at that movie, man, the way they was able to survive that shit, like on some real shit, of the way they was able to survive that shit was through Smoke's ruthlessness, Annie's wisdom, even the old drunk guy, his loyalty. And all everybody else needed to do was just trust. That's it. The only job everybody else had was to trust. And going back to anger for a second, right? Because like I said, there was a part in this movie where they baited the wife of the Chinaman's wife, right? Chow, whatever her name was, right? Once they baited her, she gave in to that. And had she not given in to that, everybody would have survived. They would have survived through the night. All they had to do was trust. So like I said, man, there is nobody's coming to save us. And when you study E5, whether, you know what I'm saying, whether it's E5, whether it's whatever it is, whatever spiritual, you know what I'm saying, it teaches you that none of us can do this shit alone. It's a reason why, you know, a powerful Orisha like Achosi had to pair up and partner up with Shango and Ogun. This man would rather stay, you know what I'm saying? He'd rather be in a forest by himself. Him and Ogun. They would rather be in a forest by themselves. But every single time it always came to a point to where he needed to partner up with those guys. Even SU. Because, you know, SU understands this, man. And this is, like I said, this is what I love about SU. You know, SU is my brother. SU is my brother. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel as though that's why I was so compelled and so, you know, spiritually led to even talk about this movie and do my best to break this movie down. Because Eshu is my brother. And when I see my brother, I have to speak about him and I have to give him honor. I have to speak about him and I have to give him honor every single time. No matter what the situation is, I have to. Because he understands this. He understands that you can't do anything alone. He understands that the only individuals that are going to be there for us are us. Nobody's going to save you from your financial hardships. Nobody's going to save you from your illness or your sickness. Nobody's going to save you from your crisis, but us. And even if you have to go it alone, understand that you're not going it alone. You're still not alone because you have the power of your ancestors. You have the power of your spirit team and your spiritual court system and your spiritual council. You're still not alone. When that boy picked up that guitar and he started to sing, all of his ancestors were present in that room. All of his ancestors were present in that room. You know what I'm talking about? Like, even when you have to do things alone, you're still not alone. And this is something that I've had to understand for myself as well. So like I said, man, I pray that I was able to get this message across, and I pray that this message was received in a way that I imagined it to. Um, and man, y'all get me out there in the algorithm, man. I know I haven't been as consistent as I need to be, but I'm definitely looking to be posting more content. I'm definitely looking to, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, putting my energy out there a lot more. So like this video, comment, please, man, comment. I'm looking forward to y'all, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to y'all feedback. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to hearing from y'all, man. I want to connect with y'all, man. You did what I'm saying? Like, I really want to connect with the collective. That's what I do this for. And I, you know, I need that interaction. I need that engagement. I need that engagement shit. You know, hopefully somewhere down the line, this whole chat, it'll be full. I want to connect with y'all, man. You know what I'm talking about? Those who are in alignment with what I have to say and the conversations that I engage in. Looking forward to connecting with y'all, man. That's what I'm here for. So again, man, you know, you can find me on Instagram at Satrilrose, TikTok at Satrilrose. And I'm gonna do my best to make sure that I'm at least posting content, at least you know what I'm saying, going live on here or whatever the case may be, man. Whatever y'all looking for. I am available for readings. I am available for, you know what I'm saying, for divination, for spiritual work, for spiritual coaching. Go to my website, man. Check my website out. And you will see all that I have to offer. It was definitely a pleasure to be able to break this movie down. It was definitely a pleasure to be able to speak about this film and to speak about and add my take on it in my way. You know, it was definitely a pleasure to do so, man. So, love always, man. Peace.